You already know it, don't you? Deep down, in the quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts, scrolling late at night, searching for that one piece of insight that might change everything. Women don't tell their friends the full truth about the men they actually crave. They say they want the nice guy, the stable provider, the one who listens and remembers birthdays. Sweet words, safe answers, but when the lights go low and the real choice happens, when desire overrides logic, it's a different man who gets invited in. And that man is almost always older. Not older in some creepy, desperate way. Older in the way that time has stripped away the performance, burned through the masks, and left only what's real. Today I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. The only type of older man women actually want to be with. Psychology explained. No fluff, no games. Just the raw mechanics of attraction most men never understand until it's too late. Let's start with the uncomfortable reality most men ignore. Women are biologically wired to detect emotional instability faster than their conscious mind can process it. Evolutionary psychologist David Buss spent decades studying mate preferences across dozens of cultures. The pattern is clear short-term. Raw desire favors signals of genetic fitness and dominance. Long-term, it shifts toward emotional resources, stability, calm under pressure. But here's the twist: in the modern world, where survival isn't the issue, women still scan for the same ancient cues. A man whose nervous system twitches at every text delay, every ambiguous emoji, every cancelled plan, his body broadcasts threat, not physical danger, emotional danger. This man is not sovereign. He needs me to regulate him, and desire evaporates like mist in the morning sun. Now, contrast that with the older man who has survived real collapse, divorce that gutted him, leaving him hollow for months, staring at empty walls that once held family photos. Career implosion where the boardroom betrayal stripped away not just his title, but his sense of self-worth. Betrayal that shattered trust, making every future connection feel like walking on fractured glass. The kind of loss that forces a man to sit alone in the dark and face every ugly part of himself. The regrets that replay like a broken record, the vulnerabilities he buried under years of being strong. Most rebuild the same old mask, bigger house to show success, newer car to flaunt status. Gym body sculpted in desperation, dating apps on steroids with profiles polished to perfection. They perform harder, chasing the illusion that more shine will hide the cracks. But a rare few, they integrate, they say yes to the shadow Carl Jung described, the parts society told them were unacceptable, the anger that simmers like a storm cloud, the neediness that whispers in quiet moments. The fear of abandonment that grips like a vice, the raw hunger for connection that feels almost primal. They stop running from those pieces and something extraordinary happens. Their entire energy changes, nothing left to prove, no performance required, just presence, pure unadulterated presence that draws you in like gravity. Presence is not confidence. Confidence can be faked. It's the loud laugh in a crowded room, the rehearsed lines from self-help books. Presence is what remains when the ego dies a little, when the layers of pretense peel away like old paint, when your nervous system finally stops reacting to external validation, stops jumping at every notification, every perceived slight. Robert Greene calls it controlled intensity, a flame burning bright inside glass, visible, potent, but contained, never spilling over to consume everything around it. Women feel this before their mind catches up. Their body registers safety wrapped in danger, the intoxicating combination, this man could destroy me. But he chooses not to. That's when chemistry ignites, sparking in the air like electricity before a storm. Let me paint two pictures for you, vivid and real, so you can see it unfold. Same age, let's say 48, a number that carries the weight of experience without the frailty of extremes. First man, post-divorce, bitter underneath the smile he forces at social gatherings. He dates younger women to prove he's still got it, scrolling through apps late at night, swiping right on profiles that remind him of lost youth. Text too much, flooding her inbox with ego messages that scream desperation. Compliments too eagerly, layering praise like butter on bread, hoping it sticks. Agrees too quickly to every suggestion, bending like a reed in the wind to avoid conflict. His energy screams lack, a void he's trying to fill with her attention. Women sense it instantly, like a predator spotting weakness. Polite replies that grow shorter, ghosting that leaves him staring at his phone, second dates that never materialize because the spark was never there. Now the other man, same losses, Same scars etched deep, but he did the work, the quiet, grueling work that no one sees. Therapy sessions where he unpacked the baggage he'd carried for decades, journaling at 3 a.m., words spilling out like confessions to a priest. Mirror conversations where he admitted every weakness, every failure, staring into his own eyes until the shame dissolved. He integrated the shadow instead of burying it deeper, embracing the parts that made him human rather than hiding them behind a facade. Now when he enters a room, he doesn't chase attention like a beggar at a feast. He simply is, standing tall but not imposing, his gaze steady but not piercing. Within minutes, women gravitate toward him, drawn like moths to a flame. Not because he tries with clever lines or flashy stories, because he doesn't have to. His presence does the pulling, an invisible force that makes her lean in, her curiosity piqued, her body responding before her words do. Why does this happen? Because sufficiency is the ultimate aphrodisiac. Sufficiency means I am already whole, not arrogant, like a king on a throne demanding worship, not cold like ice that chills the room, just complete, a man who has filled his own cup so it overflows naturally. A man broadcasting sufficiency doesn't pedestalize her, putting her on a high shelf where she feels pressured to perform. He doesn't demonize her, projecting his past hurts onto her every action. He sees her clearly, flaws that make her human, beauty that shines through, contradictions that add depth, and still desires her without needing her to fix him, to patch the holes in his soul. That freedom terrifies most men who cling to control like a lifeline, but for women it's liberating. Finally, a man who isn't using her as emotional crutches, propping up his fragile ego. She can relax into her femininity. She can be sexual without fear of judgment. She can be vulnerable without worry of exploitation. Because the frame is solid, built on rock, not sand. And scarcity plays its part too, not manipulative games, the kind played by pickup artists in dimly lit bars, genuine scarcity born from a full life, a life rich with purpose beyond romance. This man has projects that light him up, friends who challenge and support him, solitude he cherishes like a sacred ritual. He doesn't flood her phone with constant check-ins, desperate for reassurance. A message every few days, thoughtful and unsubmissive, laced with just enough intrigue to spark her imagination. Space for her mind to wander, to fill in the blanks with fantasies of her own making. Robert Cialdini proved it decades ago in his principles of influence. Rarity increases perceived value, making the scarce object or person irresistible. But when it's authentic, not manufactured like a sales tactic, desire compounds, exponentially building layer upon layer. She starts investing her energy, asking questions to peel back more layers. Initiating contact, because the pull of the unknown is stronger than any love, bombing barrage could ever be. Imagine her lying in bed, phone in hand, replaying your last conversation, wondering what makes you tick. That's the power of genuine scarcity. Now let's go deeper into the psychology, because understanding the roots makes the transformation stick. Jung didn't invent the shadow for fun, he lived it, wrestling with his own demons in the red book of his psyche. The shadow is everything you rejected about yourself to fit in, to be the good boy your parents praised, the strong man society demands. For men, it's often vulnerability labeled weak, like admitting loneliness in a world that prizes stoicism, anger labeled toxic, suppressed until it erupts in unhealthy ways. Desire labeled creepy, shamed into silence, suppress it long enough, and it leaks. Jealousy that poisons conversations, passive aggression that simmers under compliments, neediness that clings like ivy. Women feel the leak even if they can't name it. Their intuition pings like a radar, warning them away. But the man who integrates, he owns it all, weaving the dark threads into his tapestry. No leaks, just calm power, a reservoir of strength that's deep and still. Buses cross, cultural data backs this up. Emotional stability ranks higher than resources for lasting bonds, because in the dance of attraction, a steady partner means survival for the heart, if not the body. Age gives opportunity for this integration, but any man can start the process now, no matter the calendar. Real story time, because theories without flesh are just dust. I know a man, call him Marcus. To protect the innocent, 52 years old, lines around his eyes from laughter and loss. Lost his business in 2020, the pandemic wave crashing over his dreams like a tsunami. Wife left shortly after, packing bags with a note that read like a final verdict. Rock bottom, the kind where mornings start with whiskey and end with regrets. Instead of rebounding into another performance, new startup. New trophy girlfriend, he sat with the pain, letting it wash over him like rain. Shadow work every night, listing fears on paper, burning them in a ritual of release. What part of me created this chaos? He asked the mirror night after night. 6 months later, dating again. No games, no scripts, just presence that filled the room. Within a year, he was in a relationship with a 38-year-old woman who pursued him relentlessly, showing up at his favorite coffee spot by coincidence. She later told a friend, "He's the first man who didn't need me to make him feel like a man, so I could finally feel like a woman." That's the alchemy, turning lead into gold. But let's not stop at one story. Life is full of them, each a lesson wrapped in narrative. Take Elena's ex, a 45-year-old executive named Victor. Pre-integration, he was the king of performance, tailored suits hiding a turbulent soul. Endless work hours to avoid home silence. His marriage crumbled under the weight of unspoken shadows, resentment from childhood neglect, leaking into arguments, fear of intimacy, pushing her away. Post-divorce, he dove into books, John Green, even Nietzsche's Will to Power. He meditated on his anger, channeling it into boxing rather than bitterness. Integrated his vulnerability by sharing stories with close friends, not as complaints, but as conquests. Now, women approach him at networking events, not for his business card. Two, but for the aura he exudes. One, a sharp-minded lawyer in her 30s confessed after their third date, "You're like a storm that's learned to whisper, powerful, but I feel safe in it." And here's another from a coaching circle I once heard about, a 50-year-old artist, Liam, who lost his gallery to financial ruin and his partner to boredom. He could have spiraled into self-pity, painting dark canvases of despair. Instead, he embraced the shadow through art, portraits of his fears, sculptures of his desires. Integration made his work and him magnetic. At an exhibition, a woman half his age lingered, not on the pieces, but on him. Their connection, instant, deep, because he showed up whole. Stories like these aren't anomalies, they're blueprints. That's the alchemy. Loss teaches detachment, the art of holding lightly. Detachment creates non-neediness, freeing you from the chains of expectation. Non-neediness creates pull, an invisible thread that draws her closer. And pull creates obsession, the kind that lingers long after the conversation ends. But how do you become that man? Start here, tonight. Find a mirror, any mirror, the one in your bathroom will do. Look yourself in the eyes, no phone distractions, no glancing away when it gets uncomfortable, and ask 3 questions out loud, speaking them as if to an old friend. 1. What fear am I still avoiding? The one that keeps me small. 2. What part of myself am I ashamed of hiding from the world? 3. What do I want that I'm pretending I don't, burying under denial? Answer honestly, even if the words taste bitter. Write it down on paper. Feel the pen scratch the surface like carving truth into stone. Feel the discomfort rise like heat. That's the edge where growth happens. Stay on it, don't flinch. Do this daily for 30 days, making it a ritual as sacred as your morning coffee. Your nervous system will recalibrate slowly, anxiety quieting like a storm passing. Presence grows from a spark to a steady glow. Women will notice the shift before you do. A lingering glance, a smile that holds longer, an invitation that comes unbidden. This isn't about becoming an alpha, the cartoon version from movies with growls and dominance displays. It's about becoming real, stripping away the artifice. Real is magnetic in a world full of performance, where everyone hides behind filters and facades. The older man women want isn't chasing youth or validation like a dog after its tail. He's the one who survived the death of his old self and emerged sovereign, calm like a deep ocean, intense like a contained fire, sufficient like a well that never runs dry. You have that potential inside you right now, bubbling beneath the surface. The question is, will you face the mirror or keep running from the reflection? Let's expand on this idea of integration, because it's the core, the heartbeat of transformation. Jung's shadow isn't just a concept, it's a living entity within, the sum of repressed traits. For older men, it's often the accumulation of decades, the boy who was told men don't cry, growing into a man who swallows emotions like pills. The young professional who learned to perform for promotions, forgetting his authentic voice. Integration means dialogue with the shadow, not war. You invite to the table, listen to its whispers. What do you need, you ask? Perhaps the anger needs outlet in sport, the vulnerability in trusted conversations. As you integrate, your energy stabilizes, no more emotional roller coasters that scare women away. Instead, Steady hum of power. Evolutionary psychology adds layers. Bus's studies show women prefer men who signal resource provision, but in post-industrial societies, emotional resources trump material. A man who can hold space for her emotions without crumbling. Gold. The integrated older man does this effortlessly. His own shadows tamed. She feels it in her core. A pull towards safety and excitement and analogies help solidify this. Think of a tree young, it bends in every wind, roots shallow. Older, integrated, roots deep, trunk strong, weathering storms without breaking. Women seek the tree for shade, not the sapling that sways, or a diamond pressure and time forge it from carbon. Your losses, the pressure, integration. The cut that makes it shine. Hypothetical scenario, you're on a date, 55, with a 40-year-old professional. She mentions a stressful day. Non-integrated you jumps in with solutions. Trying to fix to prove worth. Integrated you listens deeply, shares a brief story from your past. I once faced something similar. It taught me patience. No advice unless asked. She opens up more. Connection deepens. More psychology, Nietzsche's idea of self-overcoming. The older man overcomes his base instincts, becoming the Übermensch of attraction, not through force, but mastery. Schopenhauer's will channel desire, don't let it control. Dostoevsky's characters show the cost of denial. Underground men repel, integrated ones draw. Practical steps beyond the mirror meditation. 10 minutes daily, focusing on breath to calm the nervous system. Therapy, if shadows run deep, a guide through the dark. Journaling prompts. Today, where did I perform instead of being? Build habits that reinforce sufficiency, hobbies that fulfill, friendships that nourish. Women's side, they crave the balance. Too safe, boring. Too unstable, scary. The integrated man hits the sweet spot, his presence a magnet. Myth busting, it's not about money. Presence over provision. Poor but integrated beats rich and needy. Not looks. Energy eclipses aesthetics. Not age. Exclusive young men integrate early for edge. Expand with quotes. Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Apply to dating. Conscious shadows make you luminous. Green seduction, be the enigmatic object. Mystery from integration, not tricks. Bus updated research. Inequality-driven cultures, emotional traits soar in importance. Historical examples, Casanova, integrated charm, own desires without shame. Modern celebrities like George Clooney. Presence from lived experience. Challenges, regression happens, triggers, pull shadows back. Vigilance key, daily check-ins. Benefits beyond women, career thrives. Friendships deepen, self-love blooms. Resources books, The Archetypes by Jung, Art of Seduction by Green, podcasts on shadow work, apps for meditation. Imagine your future dates where she chases, relationships where depth reigns. But it starts with discomfort. If this hit you, really hit you, stirring something deep within, do this one thing, drop a comment below with your first mirror question. The one that makes you uncomfortable, the one that demands truth, share it, own it. And if you want more breakdowns like this, raw psychology, no sugarcoating, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the game isn't about tricks anymore. It's about becoming the man whose presence makes her body decide before her mind even argues. Until next time, face the shadow, integrate it, and watch what becomes possible.